Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, yes, at last, William Steinberg's Boston Symphony recordings. There are only 3 albums that he ever made with the Boston Symphony because, as some of you may know, he got his appointment in 1969. He should have gotten it instead of Erich Leinsdorf, frankly. Not Leonard, forget that. Erich Leinsdorf. Yeah, no, it should have been Steinberg from the beginning. Then we would have had this huge discography of marvelous stuff. And we do need from Warner EMI, hello, folks, a carefully edited, beautifully remastered Steinberg box. Yes, we do. I mean, Universal did it. You can do it too. Anyway, by the time he got to RCA, it was 1969. He'd taken over the Boston Symphony. He was ill. He died. That was it. And he only made 3 records. And they're marvelous, just like his 3 records for Deutsche Grammophon, or 2 records. I mean, the guy was a great conductor. He really was. And his discography is sadly fragmented, although he did wonderful stuff with Pittsburgh. But, you know, we can get to that later. This is very strange. The back of the thing here says that when William Steinberg was appointed music director of the Boston Symphony Orchestra in 1969, he attained the pinnacle of his career. In 2004, the critic Richard Fried wrote of Steinberg's BSO recordings of the Schubert 9 and Bruckner 6 symphonies. They are among the best entries in the discography and among the finest recordings of the works. Yes, I would agree with that, basically. Originally prepared for release in 1972 but never issued, Steinberg's recordings of Mendelssohn's orchestration of the scherzo of his octet. Oh, those ones were never issued. Okay, I got it. There's like a thing in a block. Okay, it makes sense here now. Now I understand. Because the Schubert, the Bruckner were certainly issued. The others, maybe not. Okay, fine. Let's see what's in here. It's actually kind of odd the way they did it. And there's a special bonus on disc 3 or 4. There's 4 discs in here, yes. 4 discs. One of which has nothing to do with Steinberg. In fact, a couple of them have little to do with him. Rather fascinating. So here we are with disc 1, Schubert, 9th, the great C major symphony. A beautiful performance. And what makes it so much fun, well, 2 things make it so much fun. First, that he doesn't reorchestrate it. He actually lets you hear the woodwind parts without brass reinforcement, especially at the end of the first movement. And totally different from what we usually hear. Almost everyone adds a trumpet or a horn or both or something to make the big tune come back. That's not what Schubert wrote. Schubert left it for woodwinds, but the string parts cover them so thoroughly that you almost never hear them. Well, voila, you hear them. Perhaps because the accompaniment is adjusted so that you do hear them. It sounds marvelous. And it's so unusual, it's shocking. But the whole performance has this wonderful organic cohesion and flow right from the very beginning. The second movement, or the very first note, that march is wonderful. You hear it, it's chung, you're in it. You're just in it. The scherzo is sort of Viennese gemütlich, a little bit more relaxed. Total contrast from Charles Munch's fabulous Référence recording, which is like the fastest 1-bar presto tempo. This isn't like this at all. And the finale just hums by. It's a wonderful performance. Bruckner 6th also. I mean, this was never going to get time of day in 1969, 70, 72, 70, in the early 70s. You know, Bruckner 6th was as good as unknown other than Klemperer's recording, or maybe Keilberth on Telefunken. And it was the Boston Symphony, that famous Bruckner orchestra. The truth is they play Bruckner beautifully because I've seen Ozawa do 2 and 5 and a few others, and they were marvelous. And whenever you have Vic Firth playing timpani, you know you're in good shape. And the 6th has some wonderful moments for Vic. I mean, the cool thing about this performance, and it really is very cool, is that Steinberg actually figures out how to make the ending of the whole symphony more interesting than the ending of the first movement, which is always a problem with Bruckner. And he does it in the simplest way. I mean, the coda of the first movement is gorgeous. And what's particularly nifty about it is the top to bottom transparency, because the 6th has some very interesting rhythmic things happening at various levels of texture simultaneously. So you've got, you know, the brass going da 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 bum. That's the end, right? But the timpani are going yum ba da 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 dum ba da 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 dum ba da 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 dum ba da da da, while the other ones are going da 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 yum ba da da da. You got this simultaneous duplet, triplet thing happening at various levels of the texture, and you really hear that. You hear that beautifully here, thanks to Vic Firth. And he doesn't hang on to the last note. Da 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 bum. And that's it. Which is wonderful, because then when he gets to the end of the finale, when the big tune comes back, and you've got that, that tune from the first movement comes roaring back in the trombones, but sometimes you don't even hear it at all. He really slams on the brakes for those closing pages. So it's da 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 da, trumpets, ba ba da, and it's wonderful. It actually makes for this grand, glorious conclusion of the whole symphony in a way which is usually it's such an anticlimax. So, and in the middle, by the way, it's all just splendid. The Adagio is gorgeous. The Scherzo is fine. The orchestra sounds great. I mean, it's terrific. And it has ideas, and it has good ideas, and they work. It just goes to show, as opposed to all the conductors today with horrible ideas about how the music should go. So this is like a lesson for people. Back in 1970, people had ideas about how the symphony could be wonderful, and they did it. So that was great, too. Then we come, I'm like tearing my booklet apart. I'm so excited about this. Then we come to the things that were never released, theoretically. I agree. I don't remember them being released, but, who knows if I'm right. First, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Well, that's a Boston Symphony classic, an exciting virtuosic performance of a brilliant work. It's terrific. Till Eulenspiegel's Merry Pranks, also delicious and wonderful and marvelous and fun. The Scherzo from the Mendelssohn Octet, done for orchestra, because Mendelssohn wanted to stick it into his first symphony. Because it was popular, and he thought that would make it even more popular. Then the Danse Macabre. This is a very interesting performance of the Danse Macabre. Incredibly clear, and beautifully waltzed, but it's at a very moderate waltz tempo. Da 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 da. It's really kind of cool. It's not as zippy as it usually is, but it works beautifully because the playing is so wonderfully transparent. And then we've got, now here's the weird stuff. Here is the weird stuff. Let's see, Stravinsky's Scherzo Fantastique and the Scherzo à la Russe. Those are excellent. Now here's the weird stuff. The Russian Dance from Petrushka. That's it. You know that one? That's with Michael Tilson Thomas piano and Seiji Ozawa. Yes, that is actually taken from their complete recording of Petrushka for reasons because they needed to fill up the disc. So they stuffed that in there. Then you get two movements, the Viennese musical clock and the last movement of the Hari János suite with Erich Leinsdorf, because they needed to fill up the disc. I mean, why couldn't they just put something else on the disc instead of strange little sniglet something? I mean, they could have put the Ozawa Petrushka on the disc, like all of it. It would have been fine. Or Hari János would have been fine. But no, somebody, it's always dangerous when people think, Anyway. Then we've got disc 4. Now, disc 4 is a real treat. It's the only major symphonic recording by Arthur Fiedler of the Boston Pops, Dvořák's New World Symphony. And you'd never know it's here because it all, he says William Steinberg. It doesn't even tell you. Even on the back, they tell you in the little blurby on the back here that they put in Fiedler. This is a really good New World Symphony. Fiedler, of course, was marvelous. It also has the Carnival Overture, which is terrific. And brilliant and bubbly, but the New World Symphony is a wonderful performance. And one of the most interesting things about that is that it actually includes the exposition repeat the first movement, which was very unusual for a conductor of Fiedler's vintage. I mean, that was almost never done back in the day, but he does it. And that was from 1970. So it's the same time that that Steinberg was around. And it's really, really good. And I'm glad they stuck it in here. And I really wish they'd have said something a little more obvious about it, because it's not second fiddle. Fiedler doesn't deserve that either, frankly. But I don't care. It's out. It's available. You can get it. So get it. It's on RCA. Get it while you can. God only knows how long it's going to last. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.